Hello, everyone, and Happy New Year. Welcome to our monthly InfoSec Seminar organized by the Information Systems Security and Assurance Management Department in Mihalshan School of Management. As this is the first seminar for this year, I would like to inform you that the seminar is open to anyone who is interested in security research and technologies. So please feel free to invite your friends to the upcoming seminars. Today, we are pleased to have Ranbir Singh Bali to give us an interesting talk about security architecture and risk management in retail industry. Ranbir is a security architect with experience in information technology, security architecture, design, and control implementation. At present, he is working at Sobeys on the enterprise security architecture team. Before that, he was working at NTT Data Services as Senior Information Security Consultant for banking client. Ranbir is experienced cybersecurity professional who works on security, strategy, and roadmap delivery in organization along with streamlining technology and operational risk management process. He is passionate in performing security architecture risk assessment and working closely with enterprise architecture teams to implement security best practices during the design phase of information systems. So thanks, Ranbir, for being with us today, and thank you all for attending this seminar. And please, for those who are attending without Concordia email addresses, please register on this link. I will share it with you in the chatting box. So it's all yours now, Ranbir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for introduction. It was, I believe, more than what I do that you explained here. Hi, everyone. I know most of you, and maybe some of you know me very well. Thank you for inviting in the seminar series. I will start with introduction, and today's topic and seminar is going to be on security architecture and risk management in retail. I'm going to focus and try to complete my seminar within the time frame. It is always tough, and these discussion on security goes more than time, and it's very difficult to cover all the facets of security and architecture, security architecture, risk management during one single seminar in that time frame. But still, I try to capture everything what I can. I would like to start with introduction. You all know me. I have done my master's in information system security from Concordia University. This picture is very old though. I need to change it now. I'm working currently as a security architect with Sobeys Capital Inc. I was previously working with Sobeys as cybersecurity specialist, and I got promoted to security architect. Maybe that is my passion that's driving me now towards security architecture. I worked previously with NTT Data as a senior information security consultant. I worked closely with Morgan Stanley as our firm client. I was IT specialist with a startup in Edmonton, and I worked with Accenture Services in network operations. I have bachelor's in computer science as well. Let's start with the overview and agenda. I believe the goal of this presentation is to provide how architecture, security architecture assessment process augments secure by design concept in retail industry. But before I do that, I would like to provide some background about enterprise architecture, and then focus on retail enterprise architecture, how retail enterprise architecture and how we identify risks in retail enterprise architecture. And then we jump on security architecture assessment process and risk management in retail. And obviously there is a 15 minutes time frame for questioning, I believe, at the end. So overview of enterprise architecture. I want to talk about here what enterprise architecture consists of. Enterprise architecture is a holistic blueprint. It consists of various components of business and IT. Now, goal of enterprise architecture is to build, maintain, and integrate these various IT and business processes together. Now, when we talk about IT and architecture, we just thought of system and how they are connected and what type of system they are. But at the enterprise level, it is holistic. It consists of strategies, business processes, business objectives that are used, that drives those strategies. It consists of application portfolios, data, and IT infrastructure. Now, what is the reason for developing and maintaining an enterprise architecture across an organization? It's very important because until unless you don't understand, being a security architect or being an IT architect, until unless you don't understand an enterprise architecture holistically, you won't be able to secure anything. You need to understand what are the different architecture components in your organization. So what are the reason for developing and maintaining an enterprise architecture in an organization is it delivers insight and overview of IT and business, how business objectives can be achieved with the IT. It always also provides some we can say some roadmaps to achieve those goals that business has driven and maintain the portfolio of overall IT components within the organization. It also prioritizes budget for spending on IT and future IT infrastructure. Now, these are various reasons to maintain a well enterprise architecture in an organization. Moving towards the domains of enterprise architecture. Now, so enterprise architecture there are various frameworks that define enterprise architecture in different ways. Many organizations adopt various types of frameworks to build an enterprise architecture, to build a new system, to build new technology within an organization. Now, enterprise architecture holistically consists of building business architecture, data architecture, application architecture, and technology architecture. Now, all these different architecture creates different artifacts. Those artifacts are maintained in the enterprise architecture level to build new business processes and new IT infrastructure. Now, how security architecture govern the design of this enterprise architecture from the security perspective, that is where the security architecture is going to come. Now, let's speak it loudly. We have an enterprise architecture which support a particular business process. To support that particular business process and to build that system, we need an enterprise architecture because we need different IT components. We need to know what business process that we need to develop and everything. We need to know about data that is going to be utilized to build that architecture. We need to know applications that are available and obviously the underlying technology. And from the security side, we need to know how we are going to support that architecture and build that architecture securely by designing policies, by using security best practices, by using security guidelines, and by performing security management with enterprise security risk management strategies, risk management assessments, and all. So these are different domains of enterprise architecture. Why I started with enterprise architecture and why I provided an overview of enterprise architecture, because these are all assets to an organization. Are we talking about risk? We need to know about assets in the organization. And these enterprise architecture are valuable assets of any organization, which poses risk, which can be exploited. And that is how we relate enterprise architecture, how security architecture complements it, and there are many different components in every enterprise, which is part of their whole business and whole architecture. Moving to the next slide, I want to talk about how enterprise architecture looks in retail. In retail, there are different systems that are utilized. Now, there are different businesses in retail as well. It can be similar to any other industry as well. There are core systems in any organization, which are assets to the organizations. We talk about technology as systems that are used for financials, for HR management, payrolls. All these systems are core systems of any organization. In retail specifically, we have data management systems, we have pharmacy management systems, we have robotics. We consider them as very important and critical crown jewels of retail industry. We also have e-commerce platforms that also contribute to our enterprise architectures. We have supply chain management systems. We have transportation systems. Now, these can be technology, these can be applications, and these can be a system that is built by enterprise specific for that particular business process. Also, we see in any organization, and maybe in retail also, we have underlying infrastructure, which is obviously what our PC builds are, what are our servers, do we have our presence on the cloud, do we adopt mobility, do we have different communication systems for different communication channels between different IT systems. So these are just to provide you an overview of what an enterprise architecture is consist of, and what are these assets within an enterprise architecture. Moving to the next point, I want to talk about retail enterprise architecture and security risks. So I believe we covered a lot on what enterprise architecture is, what are different domains of enterprise architecture which contributes towards building that successful business process with the enterprise architecture and design within that domains. Now, in retail environment, first we have to understand, how does a retail look like? What does retail consist of? Retail consists of our retail stores, our distribution centers. We have some digital channels, obviously e-commerce, and in-store commerce as well. We all order groceries now. It gets delivered to our home by various different digital platforms. We also have corporate network, our corporate systems, resources, data centers. These are also part of our retail. But retail is also revolutionizing, or we can say evolving. They are now adopting new IT trends, which are posing an increasing risk exposure to retail. When I say we, obviously I am from Sobi, so I have this habit of saying we, but in retail, we have customer retention platforms now. These customer retention platforms are processes that are business processes. These are used to retain customers. While I'm talking about customer retention platforms, we're talking about royalties, royalty programs to retain customer, to manage competitiveness within the market. Retail is also adopting IoT and robotics, and this is also increasing the risk and exposure within the retail industry. And how we are going to use this IoT and robotics within the retail, how we are using platforms, I'm going to talk about these in next slides. Also, we have POS lanes. Obviously, retail uses POS lanes, but we have now advanced POS lanes with self-checkout systems and all the stuff. And also, retail is adopting new IT trends, which is cloud and digital platforms. We are using many different, our retail is adopting many different cloud platforms, digital platforms, and moving their old legacy systems and migrating it to the cloud. So this is how the retail looks like as a whole, and how there are different trends that they are adopting to obviously build customer relations, to improve competitiveness in the market, and to bring more and more business to the organization. Moving to the next slide, I'm going to talk about customer retention programs, loyalty programs. As you have seen in the previous slide, we have seen adoption of advanced platforms, and hence in this slide we will go through each of them and understand risk around these platforms. Right? What are the risks around the loyalty platform, which is one of the platform which attracts right now hackers and fraudsters. I believe all of us, we are attending this seminar here. All of us have loyalty cards. Probably I believe when we go to the gas station to collect points. We go to the grocery store, we collect points. We go anywhere we go now, we have these loyalty cards. These loyalty cards or loyalty programs are built by retail industry to obviously retain their customers. Now, this poses and attracts many hackers and fraudsters to perform obviously to exploit them and perform many attacks around them. There was analysis performed that most of these points that are collected by many different peoples by using these loyalty platform programs, they are unredeemed, which means they are still sitting stale in there. So that attracts also hackers. So they know there is a value in something that is sitting there with the customer. Now, also, when we are using 5 to 6 different loyalty cards or platform for different grocery stores, different retailers, there is also a risk of by the common language when we talk about it. Let's say the customer who is not aware of security and there is no security awareness, they probably try to use same username and password combos, and that increase the attack surface, and that provides exposure which can be utilized to attack those platforms and gain those credentials and generate monetization value from those points that are sitting out there. So now in this slide, you have seen that why it is attractive for hackers and fraudsters to attack these platforms, and why these platforms are very valuable for businesses, because these platforms attract customers, they retain customers, and at the same time, there are attacks that can cause impacts to the businesses, which is obviously brand and reputational damage. There is a breach of confidentiality and privacy compliance. But how we are going to mitigate this? Now, that is a challenge, and that can be achieved with security architecture as well. So I am in all my 4 slides where you are going to see, I'm going to talk about different crown jewels or different IoT platforms and IT trends in retail. I'm going to talk about mitigants or mitigations that are going to be used to just reduce the attack surface or reduce the risk to the residual risk level. This, by using these mitigants, which we have highlighted here: secure code practices, threat intelligence, dark web monitoring, customer account protection by awareness and multi-factor authentication on these loyalty platforms which are digitally present. These are some of the top mitigation controls or mitigants that can be applied. And how we achieve this? We can achieve this by security architecture, design, secure by design concepts, and all the stuff. And now moving toward the next one, which is Internet of Things. Retail is also adopting Internet of Things, many ways, and there is a reason behind it. Now, when we talk about reason, we all are sitting here, and it's very convenient for us right now to online shop anything. We can just go and open our any digital platform and just order anything right from our palm. How these retailers are going to attract these customers to come to the store? Now that is challenging. And with the change in this trend, we need to enhance the experience of our customer to the store and attract them and give them exceptional customer services. And to give this exceptional services to retailers have adopted IoT. Now, how they are adopting this IoT and this exponentially growing, they are utilizing now smart carts, smart shelves, where human can come, or a customer can come within the store, and they can shop anything without any interaction with any client any client or any employee in the retail environment. We have smart shelves that are being utilized in retail. These smart shelves can track inventory and can report and send that data back to the systems where we can automatically manage those inventories. There is also monitoring of wait time. When there was COVID-19 back in 2020, It was analyzed by retailers that wait time for wait time for the customers in the retail industry has drastically reduced their business. Now, with that problem, to solve this problem, obviously now retailers are adopting IoT, and they have found a solution. And there are many different platforms and technologies available now which monitor those wait times in the store and provide exceptional customer service to the customers by telling them where which slot is available, when you can come and buy, and at the same time it provides some analytics to the store at the back end. Now, wearable technology is also used in the store to identify the loyal customers and give them exceptional services. So these are drivers of having Internet of Things and adopting Internet of Things in the retail industry. But obviously, with adoption of these Internet of Things technology and platform within the retail industry, it is increasing risk surface and attack surface. Obviously, there's a lot of data points that are collected. Those data points are collected from many different IoT devices that has to be sent back through the networking to the back-end databases. That databases have to send this from the store to the cloud or to the back-end corporate network. So there is a full-fledged communication channel that can be hacked and that can be attacked or spoofed by fraudsters and hackers. And obviously, these IoT devices can be also compromised to perform distribution denial of services attacks, and that can hamper the retail business. So there are many risks to these Internet of Things, adoption of Internet of Things in retail environment. And that is where the trend is going in retail. Now, what are the top mitigants? Obviously, secure by design must be part of company's cybersecurity strategy. And how we achieve secure by design, obviously, I'm going to talk about that later, but there is a layered approach where we can talk about many different controls, not only one control. We talk about many different control layered approach and make it difficult for hackers to crack and get into what they want to get, right? So we talk about improving identity and access management to these IoT devices. We talked about zoning, network zoning. It is one of the most important concepts in Internet of Things. How your Internet of Things network or your IoT network is segregated from your other core business network or core corporate network. We can achieve that at the retail level, and that is through network architecture, through network micro-segmentation, and all the stuff. And obviously, threat hunting and active monitoring, that is an operational control, a preventive detective control that can be utilized at the IoT level to improve monitoring and logging of all these IoT devices. Moving to the next slide. I went down. Now, obviously, in retail, there are many critical components. And one of the critical components in retail industry is POS systems. We all know about it. Why POS system is critical? Because credit card information passes through different systems and is vulnerable to attack. Credit card informations are in bulk amount processed at the retail stores. Now, over the air, cyber criminals have consistently employed POS malwares to infect and to collect these credit card information. And these are attractive factors for these fraudsters and hackers. They want to collect all these information, and that information can be sold on the dark web. That information can be sold to the various different organizations over the internet. So POS, point of sale malware, we have seen from past couple of years that increase in POS point of sale malware and various attacks against that. So cybercriminals focus on monetizing these stolen POS data. They purchase that, sell it, and trade it, right? With government organizations, with the help of many other different ransomware groups to inject these malwares and to stop the business, right? Now, what are the top mitigants against these POS malware? And also we call it POS duality, because this is the duality of business, duality of POS, point of sales, because point of sales are used everywhere. We have self-checkout machines. We have point of sales which is run by an employee at the store. Now we are moving toward the smart cards, which consist of point of sale and which can also have point of interaction, which is your PIN pad, right? How we can improve the security at the point of sale level. Obviously, encryption is one of the mechanisms that can be utilized. Now, point-to-point encryption is concept at the point of interaction level, right? Obviously, payment card industry compliance, which is PCI DSS, how often we are auditing our POS lanes, and how fast we are auditing it, what cadence we are following it. Are we maintaining the compliance, which is payment card industry compliance yearly, right? How we are segregating our POS lane environment from other environments within the store level, right? There are many mitigants that can be applied to reduce the point of sale exposure and risk. So one of the thing that we analyzed over the past few years is awareness and training as well. There are many employees in retail industry. If I say the exposure level is high, because those employees just stay with retail just for a couple of months. They come for 6 months, 4 months, and more of them are students, right? They don't go through proper awareness and trainings. Now, injection of these awareness and trainings regarding the point of sales can also improve the security of these point of sales at the retail level. Now, I want to move towards the digital transformations. So, as I'm talking about these four or five different IT trends in retail and risks in retail and top critical infrastructure in retail, digital transformations has also impacted the retail. Now, we have seen during the pandemic, every retailer has changed their business model. Now, previously, some of the retailers across in the retail industry, they were not utilizing digital platforms that can be used by consumer to buy product and then get that product right on their door at home and everywhere, get it delivered, right? So they have to rethink now. And that thought came after COVID-19. They want to speed up their digital transformation. They want to change the line of business that has completely changed. And with the accelerated digital transformation, the attacks are also increasing. Now, why cyber attacks are increased? First of all, business and CEOs and all high C-level executives, what they want to achieve digital transformation because to maintain the competitiveness in the market. Competition is also driving it. Let's say there are two retailers. One retailer has this technology and other retailer has not that technology. That will obviously attract more customers and cause less profits to that particular retailer. Now, how companies are dealing with digital transformation? They want the platform to be out, the technology to be out within a short period of time. They are reducing the system development lifecycle. They're reducing the testing checks. They're not following proper security assessments, right? So these are the top risks that are impacting the digital transformation and platforms that are adopted by retailers. When we talk about risks to these digital transformation, we can also talk about if we want to build a system and our use off-the-shelf software and get it through our business objective within the retail industry, we probably use our developers. We do not follow proper software development lifecycle. We do not do proper testing of codes. We do not go through proper pen testing. Those are kind of top risks that increases the attack surfaces while companies are moving towards a digital transformation, which I have already mentioned, secure code. That's one more cause. Now, top mitigants, how we can achieve this. Obviously, by security architecture and layering, we need to perform proper due diligence assessments during the software development lifecycle. probably need to comply with proper privacy and data protection laws, ingest identity and access management. These are all top mitigants that can be applied to this digital transformation journey of retail industry. Moving to the next challenge to the cloud. Now, adoption of cloud platforms is obviously retail is not less than anything. They want to increase efficiency and reduce cost and flexibility in business. So they are adopting also the cloud platforms. They are transforming all their legacy systems on the cloud. All systems are moving from legacy to the on-prem data center to the clouds. Now we have to understand the controls that we have adopted on the on-prem platforms are totally different than what we have to implement on the cloud. Also, increase in data. We have identified the change in trends of data. The prediction is by 2025, we have 100 zettabytes of data on the cloud, which is not only data of one, I'm talking about retail data, but it can be data. There are many organizations that are utilizing, and all the data are going into cloud, and data security is one of the important and critical for any organization because it poses more risks and it causes more damage and impact. Now, while we are moving towards a cloud journey, some retailers are trying to achieve this in the short period of time, with not properly adopting proper cloud governance models, not properly adopting proper cloud security models, do not have enough resources to support cloud security. That is also challenging. And obviously they are dependent upon all the cloud inbuilt technology, inbuilt controls that they come with by default controls. So there is no one who is going to assess this control. They just rely on the controls that are provided by the platform itself. So there are many risks to this cloud journey for the retailers. So let's talk about stolen credentials and accounts. While if you are not having multi-factor authentications on your cloud platforms, how you are going to secure them? When you are changing your legacy system to the cloud side, now your users have to access cloud platforms anywhere. You are doing business with not only one region, you are doing business with the different regions. Your users are traveling from one region to another. How you are protecting the identity of those users? And also with the increase of cloud adoption, it has also increased the risk of misconfiguration by your development team. Maybe they are not following proper cloud best practices. How we can mitigate these trends of adopting cloud from retail legacy system to the cloud side? Obviously with cloud governance, security, access management, proper data and protection by classifying data at the organization level and proper threat modeling across that. Obviously security monitoring by utilizing different preventive and many preventive and many detective controls at the operational level, and obviously adopting secure configuration practices by reusability. This is one of the factor also challenging for retailers to manage when they are managing their retail environment and moving from legacy to the cloud environment. As now we have all got a kind of a good flavor of what enterprise architecture looks like, what are the different components of retail enterprise architecture, and what are the different risks and IT trends in the retail side. I would like to start with security architecture and what exactly it is. Obviously, these are basics and theoretical stuff, but this can be adopted. This is also adopted at the industry level. Now, security architecture is a set of models, methods, and security principles. We all know these are best practices and guidelines. It describes how you are going to add the functional conception and physical model of the information development and how you how you build those key security capabilities and requirement within that system, and how those key security requirements can be adopted in each phase of system development lifecycle, adopting an information technology systems, or adopting an information any platform that can be utilized by the organization. It also produces artifacts and that describes how your security controls and measures are positioned. So when you are developing your security architecture, or you are building your security architecture at the enterprise level, and maybe you're performing later security architecture assessment for a system that is going to be used within the organization, you generate a list of security controls that have been applied within that system and within the overall enterprise level. Now, security architecture generates the artifacts. What artifacts can be generated through security architecture? We can perform threat risk assessment, and we can generate the reports across the systems. We have a security control design documents that can be utilized while developing, while assessing the risk across the security, any information system. It also generates conceptual, logical, and functional security models at the organization level, at the enterprise level, and also for the information system that you are developing or you are assessing. It also guides us towards security architecture risk management strategy, how you are going to build your risk management strategy at the organization level. Now, there are some design principles that are utilized at the security architecture that has to be that are followed, I would say, at the industry level when you are designing your security architecture, like authentication, which is authenticated access to your information. Now, how your authentication model look at the enterprise level, and how reusable that authentication model is. Are you utilizing single sign-on? Are you utilizing multi-factor authentication? Are you utilizing for your platforms only username and password? What authentication technology you are using? Is your authentication technology easily integrated with various platforms or system that business is going to adopt? How you are monitoring logs, and how you are auditing those logs? Do you have proper log management strategy? Do you have proper log management tooling? So these, on the contrary, these are the capabilities of security architecture design principles. So you need, whenever we are designing any security architecture for a system or for a system for a project at the enterprise level, we need to adopt these principles. We need to think of these principles. Does this architecture that we are developing, from the security standpoint, this architecture is going to follow all these security principles? Does it has logging? Does it has proper authentication? Does it follow the principle of least privileges? Does this architecture or our system that we are adopting or building would have proper business continuity and disaster recovery? How and where this system is going to rely within the organization? How do we have proper zoning, and do we have proper zones within security zones with the organization with proper security policies? Like, let's say we have extranet zone, we have restricted zone, where the system is going depending upon the data sensitivity and criticality of the system. Are we applying defense in depth principles to this system that we are developing? Also, with the security architecture, these design principles, we can reduce integration complexity by reusing the technology. Let's say we have adopted a technology of integration within the organization, and that technology can be reused across the platforms that we are going to build within the organization. That is how we reduce the integration. So we know we apply the simplicity of design within the architecture, and simplicity of design within the control. And obviously, these controls that we are designing, our principle that we are adopting, that should also balance the user experience. Does these principles, our security controls that we are applying to the system, is it going to impact the user experience or not? like we are building a system or we are adopting a platform that doesn't require to have multi-factor authentication. Why should we put multi-factor authentication? So that is one of the cause that we need these design principle as part of security architectures. So we use these design principle to build as secure and secure the security architecture at the enterprise level. And then when we are building new and new architectures or adopting new and new platform within the organization, we follow all these design principles. Now I want to talk about, I know the time is less. I was expecting that, I know there was a lot of things. So security architecture assessment process. I want to talk about quickly why it is important to have security architecture assessment process. At the business level, we have stakeholders and we have system owners and product owners. They always have business use cases. They have business use cases to build new business processes within the organization that brings value. To bring that value, they adopt new platforms or they request to design new platforms. Now, with the security architecture assessment process, we provide assurance to these business stakeholders that the system that you are building or the platform that you're adopting within the organization, it's secure from the design perspective, from the security perspective. Also, security architecture assessment process improves compliance and industrial standards. Like when we are adopting a platform or building an internal system, with the help of security architecture assessment process, we follow the best security guidelines and compliance, and we scope those guidelines, compliance guidelines for the system. Let's say we are using a system that is going to process PCI data. So we need to follow PCI DSS compliance at that time. So at the same time, when we are doing security architecture assessment process, it will help to improve the compliance at the industrial level for the system that is being developed. It also helps to identify vulnerabilities. Now, with the help of security architecture assessment process, we can obviously identify vulnerabilities because these are the due diligence assessment. We can assess the controls. We have baseline controls and best practices and standards and guidelines and secure configurations, documents within the organization that we maintain. And we assess those new systems against those controls and make sure that we have no gaps when we are building those systems. It also generates auditable security control list. With the help of security architecture assessment process, we create the list of security controls that an system has. An example is, let's say we have a payroll system in the organization and we are performing, and that payroll system is going to be utilized for X number of business use cases. Let's say one of the business use cases has been developed. Now, when we perform the security architecture assessment against that use case, we generate the list of controls that have been already adopted on that payroll system, and that new controls that needs to be adopted to secure that system. So that at the end, we will generate an auditable report that can be used by auditors later to validate all these controls are there within that system. And that provide assurance to the business and reduce the risk. It also maintains security standards and procedures by following security architecture assessment process at the enterprise level. We maintain the security standards and procedures that are developed at the enterprise level for every system that we are developing within the organization or adopting off the shelf. It also provides opportunity to enhance our baseline controls. Let's say we are utilizing a new technology, so we have never identified baseline controls that are required in the organization for that particular technology. When we are performing that security architecture assessment process, we identify the new gaps within that particular system. So by utilizing this security architecture assessment process, we enhance our baseline security controls for that particular technology, which is new, and that can be reused later for various different technologies that are utilized within the organization. With this overall security architecture assessment process, and we can achieve our technology and operational risk. It improves compliance, it provides security assurance, it identifies vulnerabilities, and it generates security control list. Now, why it is important to have security architecture assessment process in retail industry? Obviously, these are just common, and this can be applied to any other industry as well. But I just try to capture it from the retail side. Obviously, with the help of in security architecture assessment process in retail industry, we can maintain CII triad, which is obviously confidentiality, integrity, and availability. What we are trying to secure here from the confidential side, in retail, we have consumer information, we have pharmacy records, we have medical records, we have financial intellectual properties, credit card information, employees PII information, PHI information. These are our highly critical data that we need to secure. And this sensitive data can be secured with the help of with the help of security architecture assessment process in retail. Obviously, we can improve the integrity of online systems and stores transactions. By whenever we are performing security architecture assessment process in retail, we make sure that all the systems are transmitting the data, and that data cannot be tampered. We also with the help of information security assessment process, we use the concept of managing top threats which are in the organization. Let's say OWASP top 10. These are the top risks for any web platform. Now, how we can prevent it with information security assessment process? That can be achieved by performing due diligence assessments, by using secure by design concept, by performing baseline secure control assessments against that particular platform that is prone to those threats. Now, same way, it can also help to improve compliance with industrial standards and regulations. We have PCI DSS, which is being followed because we have PCI SHOP. We have FIFA because this is the HIPAA compliance at the Canadian HIPAA compliance, which is because of our pharmacies, we store sensitive PHI data. We have to follow PIPEDA because of the privacy compliance, to maintain the privacy compliance at the store level and at the digital level. Same way, with the help of information security assessment process in the retail, we can enable invisible security to our customers, which can maintain our customer trust. It can protect customer information and accounts, and also availability of systems. Now, moving to the next slide, I want to talk about specifically this is how we actually perform a security architecture assessment process in retail. There are various steps. One of the first step is defining scope.
Excuse me, Ranbir. May you take 2 more minutes to leave some time for questions?
Sure, I know it's just too much. Probably these slides can help and give an idea. But I have next slide on security by design, how security architecture assessment process augment secure by design. There are 4 principles and how we can achieve that. I will just touch on this slide then a little bit. Now, we in any industry and maybe in retail as well, we have IT risk management processes. Obviously, I am not allowed to talk about all the risk assessment processes that we do in a retail industry, but these are various due diligence assessment that are utilized in retail industry, which is third-party risk assessment, security architecture risk assessment is a part of it, privacy impact assessment, and DevSecOps assessment. These are all due diligence risk assessment before an information system is built within the organization, or we are adopting a new platform or utilizing a new off-the-shelf platform within the organization. Now, some of the information systems are not going to be in scope of these assessment, but some are going to be the part of these assessment. Where third-party risk assessment is focused on legal contracts, supplier, and overall. Security architecture risk assessment focus on data, technology, infrastructure, and operational controls. Privacy impact assessment is mostly focused on privacy, compliance, and laws. And DevSecOps is mostly focused on secure code practices. Out of these all risk assessments, obviously there are risks that have been identified and that are being mitigated during the redesign. And that was actually this slide that I want to talk about. It was design and implementation of control and validating those security control. So we design and implement those security controls that have been identified against a risk in the organization, a risk in the information system. We design control against them. Let's say a system has weak encryption, so we design a control that can improve the encryption, and obviously we validate those controls. And then we authorize those systems to be implemented within the organization. There is always some residual risk that is always monitored at the enterprise level. That is obviously I have mentioned here. We generate risk register, which is monitored at the enterprise level, at the IT security level, and then obviously there's an action plan that we draw to reduce those not residual risk, but the risks that are classified as high, medium, and low, and which are not remediated immediately when we are implementing any system. Maybe those risks are going to be eliminated within 6 months, 2 or 5 months, or 8 months, and that's where we develop our risk mitigation plan towards those risks that have been identified during this all due diligence assessment processes. I will touch on last slide. I believe retail industry is complex and challenging. Obviously, attack surface is increasing because of adoption of new technologies and new IT trends. Retail data attracts hackers and fraudsters. As you know, data is important for any organization. Security architecture processes are critical to identify risk and enforce secure by design principles. And security architecture must complete the enterprise architecture of organization. So we should use the security architecture platform guidelines framework that we have adopted at the retail. It should always complement enterprise architecture. And security architecture must produce reusable controls that are very important, and which follow the principle of secure by design, which is simplicity and flexibility. That is all from my end. I know I have skipped a couple of slides. I probably should go in detail of them and explain each and every step. That was not possible in 45 minutes. Maybe later, and maybe you guys can go through my slides and read through the content that I have put there. But that's all, guys. I'm open to questions. I know we have less time, but I'm ready to wait for 5-10 minutes after 1 hour of session. Also, if you have any questions.
Great. Thank you so much, Ranbir, for this interesting talk and for all this information. So time now for questions. Yes, please go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, thanks, Ranbir. That was a great presentation. I particularly like the stuff about the loyalty programs and the 16 billion and just unspent rewards sitting there. I had to step out for about 10 minutes, so I apologize if you talked about this and I was away. But are you able to really quickly summarize like the security architecture, if it even exists, of like self-checkout systems? Because every time I go through like a retail store and it's yelling at me to remove my bag from the bagging area, I'm always tempted to go home and see if I can find one on eBay, bring it home, and just see what sort of vulnerabilities and exploits exist in this stuff. So is that something you can speak to really quickly, like the cybersecurity architecture implementations around the whole self-checkout environment? Because there's definitely computers, and I'm assuming some type of networking and payment systems involved in those. Thank you.
So I would just give you a little bit overview on what are at the checkout level. When those are self-checkout machines, obviously there are scanners that are utilized. They're attached to our point of sales, which is our payment interactions. These are two things. Now we have to understand these all self-checkouts machines that are utilized there. They are also, when we are scanning any of those items, they are also enabling those. Let's say we have promotions going on within the organization, and those promotions are also being adopted through this. So there are various exposures to these self-checkout machines. Now, when it comes to the security architecture that to employ now, while developing, these are just as standalone computers or IoT devices. that are being used within the organization. Now, how isolated these self-checkout machines are from your other POS systems, that is one of the things that we need to adopt and we need to look into. Another, obviously, there are security cameras on these self-checkout machines that scans obviously human activity and make sure that the number of items that you have scanned are are also part of the list that you are shopping. And there is also we have remote, I can say, handhelds that are being handed over to our retail employees while you are performing those self checkouts. They are able to monitor what are the transactions that you are making. We have also removed, obviously, in these all self-checkout machines, there is no USB and all those ports that can expose them to the attacks. So minimizing the attack surface by reducing as many as exposures. That's what we applied. Now it comes to adopting it. It can be adopted in many different ways within the retail industry. With the security architecture, I would say it starts from the design of the software itself, and then the hardware level, and then at the connectivity level. What different controls we are going to put at each and every level, from the hardware as a hardware machine that is going to be put there, what software it is running, how are those scanners, how those cameras are other preventive controls that are going to be adopted by these machines. That is all I just want to say on these self-checkout machines here.
Thank you. Gretchen?
Hey, good afternoon, Ranbir. I had a quick question about smart carts. And this is partially prefaced by the fact I have a Freshco shopping cart stuck at my community mailbox in the snowbank. So I think they're probably hard to secure. Do you think they actually add business value? Like they need a battery, they're mobile, they're easily taken, they add a lot of complexity. Is the gimmick worth it, or are they actually going to attract customers?
Yes, they are. You have heard about the Amazon smart stores. When they are our competitors, right? When you go into Amazon smart store, you just enter into the store, you just pick up all the items, and it automatically scans and deducts money from your card if you have that card attached to the same Amazon account, right? Same way, when we talk about smart cards, they are generating value to the business, and how they are generating it, because there is no interaction with anyone. And nowadays, that when it comes to, obviously, there was a concept that was developed in two ways. One was obviously drive through these pandemics, which is COVID-19. The second, it was because of flexibility that it provides user when the user is shopping within the store. It is just when user enters in the store, he can go and pick any stuff and he can buy it. Now, when it comes to the security, and does it bring security value to the business with obviously those smart cards with those batteries that are going to be drained, the smart cards are going to be stolen, or these are all IoT devices, right? So these devices are all, there's always a acceptable level of risk that obviously organization has to bear on these smart devices. But obviously, they are bringing very much value in the organization when it comes to isolating those IoT devices from actual checkouts. It reduces our resources, it improves the security, and it also enhances the customer experience. And it helps us to track what customer is buying right now and where it spends a lot of time in a particular store. So there are many data points that are collected through these smart cards that also generate values at the back end, which help us to market and target our customers through marketing of that particular product at later level.
Thank you. Ngozi?
Okay, so when you were talking about the security architecture design principles, I said isolation was mentioned. I didn't understand what that was about.
So probably go back, or maybe I will just asset isolation. You want to know about how we isolate the asset?
Yes, like I don't understand that.
Okay. Now, when it comes to asset isolation, let's say I have here on my slide how you are isolating the asset within the organization, within the architecture. Sorry. Now, at the network level, you have adopted the micro-segmentation. You have many different segments in your network. Your asset that you're going to put in that particular segment has that depends on the value of the asset. So let's say we have PCI asset, which consists payment card industry data. That is a valuable asset, and it has a database attached to it, and maybe we have the database for the web server. There's an application, obviously web server and database. They are all together. We have to isolate the data, which is an asset. Now, how we are going to isolate that? With the help of obviously design principle at the network level, with the microsegmentation, you are going to put that asset in a zone which has restricted number of controls, where all different assets are, where all different inbound and outbound connections at the firewall level are denied, where it is going to be at the granular level, at the core of your of your network architecture, where least number of interactions are happening with other systems within that particular architecture. So just minimizing the ports, implementing more and more segmentation, and less opening of ports at the architecture level, you can isolate that asset. Now, there's also asset isolation when it comes to attack surface. When there's an incident, how you're going to isolate that asset immediately from other assets. That is one more.
Thank you. One last question from Ola Likan. Please go ahead. Hello, Ola Likan, are you here? Okay, so again, thank you so much, Ranbir, for this interesting talk. And thank you all for attending, and we wish you to see you again in our next seminar. Our next seminar will be on Thursday, February 9. Dr. Sean Agili, a professor at the Master of Information Systems Assurance Management program, will be our speaker in February, as we are celebrating the MESAM program's 10 years anniversary. So see you in the next seminar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. I hope I was able to provide some value through this seminar. I know there are a lot of concepts and a lot of things that you cannot be covered through within the 45 minutes. But I hope you have learned something related to retail and how we implement security by design concept and security architecture assessment within the retail.
Oh, it was very nice presentation. Thank you.
Presentation, Ranbir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.